Happy Wednesday, everybody. Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Another episode of Drankin' Champagne coming your way. I am joined, as always, by Champagne, Mr. Andrew Champagne. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm feeling pretty big here. I mean, my head looks pretty large on the YouTube video. There we go. If you are watching us on YouTube, go on down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Really helps us out. It's been really busy the last week and a half for a bunch of different reasons. We were pretty excited to look at a Pick 5 carryover on last week's show. And unfortunately, some real life stuff wound up hitting in the form of a veterinary emergency on my end. Thankfully, the animal in question is getting better every day and is fine. Take care of your pets out there. We don't deserve pets for how much they love us and how much joy they bring to us. So make sure yours are taken care of. We're back this week, though. Still a lot going on. Just a couple of weeks away from the Breeders' Cup, man. I mean, 2.5 weeks. That's all that's left. More locally, at least for me, the Alameda County Fairgrounds are hosting their first fall meet in quite some time, starting up this Saturday. I'll be there. Don't know what, if anything, I'm doing, but if you're going to be there, say hi. I'm an easy guy to find. Lots going on here, and a lot of it is good. Some of it is just really, really busy.
Yeah, no, it's been a busy couple weeks. Just work has been nuts. So just been busy with that. Just the usual life stuff, right? Doctor's appointments, weddings. I mean, just stuff is all over the place. And my wife and I are trying to plan our next couple months, just with vacations. Do we want to go somewhere around Christmas time? Just busy, busy, busy. We were 2 weeks away from Breeders' Cup. We're recording this on Tuesday night, the 15th. So in basically 2 nights or 2 weeks to the day, I will probably be packing or packed and getting to bed and ready to go fly out to San Diego on Wednesday. So, really excited. Never been to California, so that's going to be a fun trip. Obviously, never been to Del Mar, so that's going to be awesome. And I know Mark and Caleb and I are going to, plan on hitting some places up. Andrew, any suggestions on some places to check out when we're in San Diego?
So as far as San Diego in November goes, I am not much help. I love San Diego. I've been down there a couple of different times, but it's been for a couple of different reasons. For instance, the last time I was there was for my then job. That was where I started the Lord Miles Victory Marathon a year and a half ago. By the way, I had him at 59-1 in that Wood Memorial, and he's back on Saturday in a second level allowance that features the return of Locked, who was a grade 1 winner last year. Dave Grenning threw out that tweet, and I think he buried the lead. I think he got the order backwards personally. Now, San Diego is absolutely lovely. It is a fantastic place with some wonderful people. I will say, if you have a chance to go to Coronado Beach, it's a little bit out of the way. It is absolutely worth your time. It is one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. There is a restaurant right on the beach called Serae, Serae. It is phenomenal. Been there a couple of times. Experiences have always been great.
Awesome. I'll add that to the list. My friend sent me a cocktail bar to try and check out. So I forgot what it's called. I saved it on my my trusty notes app, like a good millennial here.
Of course.
Raised by Wolves. It's the name of the bar. So
Are you sure he wasn't insinuating you were raised by wolves?
I hope not. Raised by Wolves San Diego comes up. So
I will say I don't remember the name of this place, and if I remember it, I will send it to you. But there was a karaoke bar that I emptied out about a year and a half ago doing my rendition of the Humpty Dance by the Digital Underground. If I remember that, I'll send it to you.
Goodness gracious,
You'll
that sounds
probably still
awful.
see a picture of me with a circle and a line through my face. But yeah, no, it's San Diego is an absolutely beautiful city. Great time, great ballpark too. Petco Park is a great place to watch a game. I have a Juan Soto bobblehead doll somewhere over that away
Hmm.
that actually might be worth a couple of bucks since he wasn't a Padre for much longer after that.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately, the Padres, I think, what last weekend got knocked
Yeah,
out,
they got
right? Yeah.
eliminated at the hands of the Dodgers and former Angel Shohei Ohtani. Seeing a former Angel thrive, there are some Angels fans much better than I that are saying, "Go Shohei, this is great." Meanwhile, I'm going, "You couldn't have done this while you were with us, really?" I'm there ain't no baseball fan like a bitter baseball fan. I'll say that much. Now, as far as horse racing goes, circling things back, I have not been bitter because this has been one of the best Keeneland meets of my life, Josh. 2 weeks ago, we were on this show. I gave out an all turf pick three ticket that hit for just shy of $800, ended with a single. Thank you. Thank you. That wound up rallying from Paducah to get the money. I don't know where Paducah is in relation to Keeneland. I just picked some random far flung Kentucky city, but wound up turning out okay for me. I've hit that wager a couple of different times. It's a really fun bet, especially if you have a strong opinion in at least one of those legs that you can either single or go against a favorite. It's a really cool bet. And you wind up with some payouts that pay shockingly well. And we've seen that a couple of different times at this Keeneland meet. And we're hoping that we'll be able to see it again on Thursday, October 17th. That is the all turf pick three sequence that we will be looking at. Races 4, 6, and 8 comprise that sequence. A lot of big fields in this one, Josh. And you and I had an extensive pre show meeting where we celebrated the fact that for the first time in a long time, we agree enough to have a consensus ticket. Now, yes, I will point out our consensus ticket does have two singles on it. So I don't know how much we really agree versus how much we kind of sort of agree and wouldn't be shocked. But this represents progress for us. And I think that's a very good thing, Josh.
Yeah. Well, and I guess we'll talk about it when we get to the race, but yeah, I kind of look at our consensus ticket, and I think at least my strongest opinions, I believe in the sequence, are pretty shared in there. So, the ticket I'm going to post in here is a real big ticket. It's probably not going to be what I play. It might be more a smaller ticket with maybe a couple of savers using a couple other horses, but we'll talk through the structure and stuff as we kind of go. But we're gonna start here with race 4. It's gonna start our Keeneland Turf Pick 3, going to mile and 16th on the turf here, and you have a very, I think, a worthy morning line favorite in the 3 Justifiable Bell. And maybe I'm gonna have to call a defensive B alarm or defensive A alarm, I guess in this case on me. When I looked at this first race, I really wanted to beat this horse. I thought, you know, I really like a couple other horses. This probably means this is one to beat. And maybe we downgrade this one. I think the horse is kind of, Rail left 2 straight wins to start the year. Win the Kentucky Downs, ran second, a nice second, and we've talked, you know, at nauseum probably at this point about Kentucky Downs. Weird track. Some horses like it, some horses don't. Cross the line through that race, and you can't knock this horse, right? And obviously 1 for 1 here at Keeneland, winning earlier in the spring meet this year. So I think going to be is a worthy favorite. Um, but I guess I ended up going 4 wide here. Andrew, you also went 4 wide. Justifiable Bell is a horse that we both like. And I think before I get to the other horse we kind of like, um, you know, I the number 11 joined the dance. 15-1 on the morning line. I have as an A in here. And This is, I think, is another horse where I think you cross a line through that Kentucky Downs race, and you have a horse that definitely has some back races that fit here, has run well in some listed stakes, and gets Frankie Dettori, who's only winning at, oh, I don't know, 19% for this meet. Dallas Stewart, limited sample size so far this meet. He's only got five starters. He's got a win and two-thirds in those five starts. So, I think he's been pointing his horses, or he's been entering horses very live in this meet. You get Frankie Dettori aboard, and you have a horse that's got some tactical speed here. Has one wire to wire at Churchill, or not one, but ran a nice race on the lead. Has sat just off the pace and run decently well. Has closed pretty well. So, albeit this is all in tougher spots, I think finds a softer spot here, and 15 to 1, I think is a heck of a price to maybe start off this pick three. And honestly, the fact that I liked this horse at 15 to 1, and I also liked another horse at 6 to 1 that you and I both like in Quality Star, made me kind of rethink. Like, do I really want to include this three justifiable bell in this spot? I don't know. I have it marked down as an A. Maybe it was more of a defensive mood, but you also like this one here, Quality Star. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about it?
Like is a relative term because I went four deep as well. I thought this one had a number of very strange trips earlier this year and late last year. There was a rider switch made prior to that August 26th race at Ellis Park. That was a stakes race, and this one wound up getting the nose down at odds of 5 to 1. So this one had some ability. I like the way that she won that particular race. Ellis Park's turf course can be very firm and produce a number of ridiculous times that you wind up seeing. You see miles going in 133 and change there consistently with some horses that aren't the highest caliber. This was a runner that was wide most of that race, wasn't necessarily on the lead until about the midpoint of the backstretch. They went 25-3 to the opening quarter. They went 50-1 to the half. They were walking, and this one wound up getting the job done. I don't think that's this one's preferred trip. I think she wants a little bit more pace in front of her, but I think she gets on really well with Brian Hernandez, and I thought she ran very well last time out without Lasix. She gets Lasix in this spot, which technically is a class drop. For that reason, I needed to use her. Justifiable Bell to me hits me as a horse that isn't likely to be 5-2. I do think she'll be favored, but I think you're more likely to see 7-2, 4-1 in a wide open race than 5-2 on this horse, because there are some stakes quality horses in here. 1-2 back, 1-3 back was a good second last time out at Kentucky Downs. We've said it on this show. Horses coming from Kentucky Downs going to more conventional tracks. Sometimes the form translates, sometimes it doesn't. I see Luis Saez on a horse with some tactical speed. It piques my interest. I need to use her. 5-2 seems like an underlay to me. I don't think we're going to get that. I am using two others in this spot. Honestly, I could have gone a little bit deeper than that, but I wanted to keep the cost of the ticket down. Famous last words of any handicapper, right?
Don't
I
remind me.
used horse number 6, Bolivia, I believe is the way you pronounce that. This is a runner that has been running in stakes company. Last out effort and two back effort weren't all that great. But I look at this horse and I see a runner that seems much better with Lasix. And I see a horse that has a history of running big with Lasix with a pace in front of her. I think that's the scenario she winds up getting in this spot. And for that reason, I need to use that one at a bit of a price, especially because Brendan Walsh's runners have been live all meet long. The other runner that I'm going to throw in is the 9-4 Flying. It's another case where I see a horse that's 2-for-2 with Lasix, comes in off of a stakes race where it sure seemed like this horse ran going, wait, something's missing here. I don't like this. Well, she gets Lasix and she gets John Velasquez. Now, John Velasquez has not been very popular with most of horse racing Twitter over the last 3 months or so. It seems like the in vogue thing to do now in some sections of horse racing Twitter is to wish harm on jockeys because the Twitter admins and the powers that be don't particularly enforce their own T's and C's. But one thing John Velasquez will do is put horses in the right position. And I think he's a good fit on this horse because he'll be able to relax for flying a couple of lengths off of the speed and give this one first run turning for home. The re-addition of Lasix helps. Anytime I see a Graham motion horse coming back to the right level after taking a shot, that's a plus. Those are the four that I'm using, 1, 3, 6, and 9. The two that I could have used and decided to go against were number 7, Nanda Dea, who I believe you had a big old question mark by looking at the form there. Yep, this is a first-time U.S. runner after spending several years in Argentina. Nacho Correas has a history of bringing horses in from Argentina, and sometimes they're very good. But I see this horse running for the first time in 10 months with a pedigree that says 2 turns may not necessarily be what she wants. I know she won going a mile in Argentina. I know it says that she's a Group 1 winner. You don't necessarily know what those fields are. I'm going to let that one beat me. And I'm going to let horse number 10, Selenea, beat me as well. This is a runner we have not seen since May. She reeled a couple of nice races together in late 2022, early 2023. But those last several races, while being against better company, haven't exactly been inspiring. Maybe the return to allowance company is what she needs, but it's also not like she was going up against world beaters this past spring at Santa Anita either. I see a Rod Ortiz. I see a horse with some back class. I think that one's going to be over bet. If Selenea beats me, I won't be as upset as if Nanda Dea beats me, because there's a scenario where Nanda Dea just has the back class and winds up being as good or better than this group. But of the horses that I'm going against, I think Selenea is going to be the distinct underlay in there based off of the recent form as opposed to some of the races people may be betting because of.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch on Nanda Dea, I with the ticket I'm going to post, I kind of gave, I'm not going to say worst case scenario, but like if I were to play every single horse equally, what would my ticket be?
Right.
Nanda Dea is going to wind up on some ticket, whether it's a saver ticket or whether it's as on my main ticket. I'm not really sure yet. We could see what happens with some scratches or what else happens, but um, I honestly, what kind of sticks out for me is just kind of I guess, the career trajectory for this horse. Was running 7 furlongs in a mile and was running very, very well at that distance. And then all of a sudden, they're like, "Hey, let's run a class or more classic distance or a longer distance, right? Adding those additional 2 furlongs." And was bet down like it was a sure thing once again, and it kind of ended up, coming short there. So I like the cutback. I like the fact that Nacho's shipping this one in, and I like the fact that Jose Ortiz is getting the board. So all that kind of being said, I think this is probably a well met horse. Um, does have some very, very nice works going back to August. And it looks like the fact that, this horse has been stabled at Keeneland all through the summer means this was probably the place that Nacho wanted to debut the horse here at Keeneland. So, yeah, Nanda Dea, like, this makes a ton of sense. So is going to be on my tickets. I just don't know as of right now how it's going to, how, he's going to kind of, or she's going to be on anything, but anything else on this race?
It's a wide open race. If there's a spread race in this 3 race sequence, I think it's that one. Thankfully, I can spread a little because I have a pretty strong opinion in the race we're about to talk about, race number 6.
Yep, 5.5 furlongs on the turf here. Nice, salty allowance race. So we got. I'm not going to read the conditions. A shout out to the Wolf of Oaklawn, since he
I was
loves to
about
say
to
that.
say, yeah, you're channeling your inner Chase there.
Yeah, I shared your opinion. I think in this race in some So, I was close to you. I really do like your single, but I kind of went a couple different ways here. But Andrew, you have a single. I'll let you go first. Where did you land?
If number 6 Linzer beats me, he beats me. I'm going to channel another one of our friends, Caleb. That was a candy ass trip last time out at Kentucky Downs. Went to the lead, was never challenged, went the first half mile of a 6 furlong race in 45 and 4 over a turf course that had been very, very firm. No thanks for me. This horse needs everything to go right and is probably going to be favored. I'm taking a stand against, and I am doing it with the horse directly to the outside. That's number 7, Finster. Josh, we're of a similar age here, so I feel as though we need to debate a very important question. Do we think Finster was named for the character in Rugrats or the character in Recess?
I've never watched Recess, so I'm gonna say
Get out!
Rugrats.
Get out! Get out of this show, spend 3 days watching Recess, and get back to me. My goodness. Finster was the crusty old teacher in Recess. Finster, also the last name of Chucky from Rugrats, for those of you not of a certain age. Going back to more horse racing related topics, much to the relief of the listeners that stayed through that little tirade, I like number 7, Finster, quite a bit. This is a runner that showed a lot of promise as a 2-year-old, won the lone race he ran by nearly 10 lengths at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Not sure what he beat that day. Something went wrong in the interim. We didn't see him again for almost a year. He came back, though, in a turf race at Ellis Park, wound up moving early in that particular race, and wound up winning by a length despite possibly needing a race and being ridden the way that he was. He was wide. He moved a little bit early. He had enough gas left in the tank. Lots of things I like seeing. Then they had to run him on dirt at Churchill because Churchill, turns out he's not a dirt horse. He gets back to the turf here. He gets Flavian Pratt, and he goes out for the barn of Owen Hardy, who is 2 for 4 over the course of the meet. Josh, I'm not much of a mathematician, but I believe 2 out of 4 is 50%. He doesn't train a whole heck of a lot of runners, but the ones he sends out at Keeneland have been firing. I think he's got a lot of potential to improve third off the bench, and I don't think he needs to improve much off of that 2-back effort at Ellis. I see 6-1 on the morning line. I think we could very well get that price. He is a single for me in the all turf pick 3.
Yeah, I share your sentiments on the 6 Linzer. Kentucky Downs seemed to be very speed favoring. Horse got an easy lead and won. I'm not going to. I mean, we're not. Like I said, it was a weird meet. Always the weird meet, weird track. Yeah, but you look back at a couple of the races where I think he's run well and he's been forward, and I think there's a bit of speed. The 8 Cruisin' Man, um, definitely has got some really good speed. He's got 21 speed, 21 speed at Gulfstream. I mean, this is that horse is got some early speed. And then the other horse, the 5 Wild West Justice, is another one that has tended to be forwardly placed. Indiana Grand got out in the lead 21 flat. I mean, these are horses that have shown really good speed. I just don't. The 6 is going to have to sit off those 2 horses, and I mean he's got a couple wins kind of coming from off of it, but yeah, that was just such an easy trip.
And let's
Um,
not forget about the one Portofino either. Portofino is a horse that has several sub 21 races on his resume and breaks from the rail. He might have to go.
yeah, and what I'll say is Portofino and your single, the 7 Finster, I have written down as B's. Um, they'll be, I think, prominent though still on my ticket. Um, Everything you said about Finster makes a ton of sense. This is not a dirt horse, right? That turf race looks great. Love seeing that Flavian gets aboard for this horse. Owen Hardy has got live horses firing right now at Keeneland. Everything you said and more. Love the 7 here, Finster. Um, the one Portofino of the speed horses, I think because he's got the rail draw, is going to have the easiest time of the speed horses. And I think even though you haven't really seen it in his PPs, the race about four back and was ended about third at a length at first call, and kind of sat just off the pace. Finished second by a neck there. Came back and won next time out. Going wire to wire. Uh, I do think that if those the speed balls just absolutely full send outside of him, I think he can sit a trip just behind them. But if not, and maybe he gets out, and maybe the other horses get floated a little wide, maybe he gets comfortable on the front. I don't know, but I think of the speed horses, he's the one I like the most. So I'm going to include him because we are going 5.5 furlongs on the turf, and I think you got to use the speed horse here. Um, the only other horse I want to talk about is the 3, the connector at 20 to 1. Mark Hoffman trains. Where I don't know where he trains, but he does have 34 starts this year. Not a name I've ever seen.
I believe he's a Presque Isle guy.
There we go, Presque Isle. And this horse is coming off 2 wins at Presque Isle, and before that had a nice second at Colonial. But we're digging. We have to dig kind of far back. But this horse has got one race at Keeneland with a win. So maybe, hey, we've seen a Presque Isle horse surprise. Shout out to Mr. Rice, who's done that a couple of times, I believe, at Saratoga. But and I said Mr. Rice because I always get the Rices confused and I never remember which one is which. But yeah, so obviously 20 to 1 the morning line. This is probably more of a tournament play. You know, hey, if you feel real strongly about a horse and maybe you just want to toss in some like a flyer in case some absolute chaos, I think you could do much worse than maybe tossing a horse like this 3, the connector in here. Um, I see the 1 for 1 at Keeneland. I see the horses coming in off good form. Obviously, much softer competition there, but I thought it was a little interesting in this spot.
Yeah, it's one of those instances where I think we both have a strong opinion against the likely favorite. We're just taking different ways to get there. And I see an A by a horse you haven't mentioned yet. That's the probable second choice double clutch. So you talk about that one.
Yeah, and this is just one once again. We're gonna you kind of look at some of these races. They stretched them out pretty successfully to a mile. Obviously, it was at Churchill Downs, which is just the weirdest. Like, just, I don't know. Apparently, Kentucky can't grow grass still, so that turf course is just, I mean, much maligned. But yeah, I see Jose Ortiz coming back to ride this horse. George Arnold, Rusty normally does pretty well at Keeneland. I think he's been a little snake bitten here, where he's got 3 seconds. So I think his horses are firing. They're just maybe a little unlucky here. But the 4 double clutch, I think, is got 4 starts at Keeneland. It's got a win in a second. The figures from the Keeneland races, they fit in here. And honestly, you kind of look at you kind of think about the pace scenario in this race, and we already talked about the 2 speedballs outside, and if that one really goes and goes full send, I think it could set up. If we've already talked about Chase, who says, "Hey, I'm not going to bet closers in the sprint," but hey, maybe I'm going to bet a closer here in the sprint. It's my top pick, the 4 double clutch here. If things do get crazy on the front end, I think he can sit a trip here, and maybe just close into a bit of a fast pace. Jose Ortiz, great at working out a trip on these turf horses. This horse is coming in with really good works. Seems to be one that it should fire here. And honestly, we've talked about Kentucky Downs and how speed favoring it was. I mean, this is a horse that closed and passed a couple horses with kind of a weird trip. last time out. Kind of went back and forth between fourth and third, and then was able to kind of pass a couple horses and finish second there. So yeah, I like the four double clutch as my top pick, kind of a lukewarm top pick, I guess you would say, because I'm definitely going to be using a bit of the seven and the one in this spot.
Double clutch is the one that scares me just a little bit. I do think 5.5 furlongs might be a little shorter than what he truly wants. If this race was, the 6.5 furlongs at Santa Anita, I would like double clutch a fair bit. 5.5 just seems a little bit shorter than what he wants. He's sort of an in between horse because he's run well going a mile at Churchill. I think that's a function of the Churchill turf course, the churf, if you will, rather than anything else. I think a mile is just a little bit too long for him. I think 5.5 furlongs might be a hair on the short side for him. Nice horse. Can't fault anybody for using that one and taking a stand against the favorite that, again, we don't particularly like.
All right, and then we're going to move on to the closer here for the turf pick three. That's race 8, mile and 16th on the turf. Another salty allowance race. And yeah, we have another full field. We got 12 horses signed up in here. Your morning line favorite is the 4, Saffron Moon. Um, I thought this was a pretty straightforward race in this. I think there's only really 2 horses I need in this race. The 4 Saffron Moon, I think, is, I mean, far and away probably the horse to beat in here. You look back at that allowance race last year at Keeneland, runs anything close to that, I think it's a race for second. Um, you get see Flavian Pratt getting aboard here. I mean, him and Chad are only winning at 30%. Over the last 2 months, and obviously Flavian's been riding really well here at Keeneland. So and and I think we talk about these long layoffs, and when we get afraid of horses coming off a long layoff. If there's one trainer I'm absolutely not afraid of a very long layoff, it's Chad Brown. So yeah, I think Saffron Moon is a worthy favorite in here. And this is a horse that Chad has had to take multiple breaks with, and has basically run well every single time coming off that break. I mean, obviously ran second in that Cardinal, but last year, but I don't think anyone was beating Star Fortress that day.
What
So
a weird race that was.
yeah, so yeah, I just think Saffron Moon is um, yeah, I think worthy favorite, one that I would definitely use in here. Um, the only other horse I was going to use is this 11 horse, Aussie Girl. And we've talked once again. I mean, we've talked about Kentucky Downs, one that came here to Kentucky Downs, um, and ran. I mean, the speed figure is fine. Maybe it was just in a little over its head. Speed was good, and this horse was trying to close from, 6 lengths off eighth at second call. So I think just everything was against the horse there. I see the horse getting Lasix for the first time. And I see a horse, that has been very, very successful, running sprints overseas. You kind of look back and the only or the had a win at the Cur at 6 furlongs, had a win at the Cur going 7 furlongs, and then you look at the breeding. I see Star Spangled Banner on top from a Galileo mare. I mean, I guess if you want to you want to pay $500,000 for a horse to sprint, like by all means. But Star Spangled Banner has especially over at Hong Kong, has been able to produce some really really nice horses that run both the stayer distances as well as the sprint distances. I think it's a versatile pedigree, and you see Galileo on the bottom. I'm really interested to see what they do stretching this horse out. Maybe this isn't the time. Maybe this horse needs a couple more starts here in the U.S., but I think is a very, very interesting runner here. Irad Ortiz, I think, also thinks it's an interesting runner, seeing as he's getting aboard here for William Walden. Yeah, I really, really, I don't know. I think this is a live one here. So I like the 11 Aussie Girl, and yeah, I think the 4 is probably the horse to beat. So I'm going to use those two, and that's it in this race.
Aussie Girl may very well beat me. The two turns is a definite question mark. I also really don't like the post. Post number 11 in a field of 12. There are obstacles in this one's way. And I usually love a European invader getting Lasix for the first time. The distance makes me nervous. The post makes me nervous. And this is a stakes quality field. I'm watching Aussie Girl in this spot. If she beats me, she beats me. As far as Saffron Moon goes, yes, I am using this horse. I see Flavian Pratt hopping back aboard. I see Lasix being re-added, and I see this horse being 3 for 4 with Lasix and 0 for 4 without it. That's enough of a trend. Ran fine in the Cardinal last year to be second. We haven't seen her since. It's been almost 11 months. Chad Brown is very good with horses coming back off of long layoffs. Have to think it's going to be this one, maybe a stakes race, and then she may very well be done, given the fact that she's already graded stakes placed and would fetch a pretty penny at an auction. But this is a horse that, when she's right, has a lot of talent. Need to use her. My top selection, though, is actually the horse directly to that one's inside, and that's the 3 Mohawk Trail. This is another horse coming in off of a break. We haven't seen Mohawk Trail since March 24th, when she was a close-up second in a restricted stakes race at Tampa. 2 starts ago, she was 5th, beaten 2.5 lengths by a little horse named Chili Flag. Somewhere Caleb's ears started ringing when we mentioned Chili Flag. We all know how good Chili Flag is, though. Back in 2023, this is a horse that won back-to-back stakes races up at Woodbine, including a grade 3. They shipped that horse down to Kentucky Downs for a 6.5 furlong event. Ran okay, 6th of 12. Gets Lasix back in this spot. I'm not necessarily saying Lasix is a performance enhancer. People who are much more qualified from a veterinary standpoint need to take that stance. I'm not going to do that. I do think it is a performance enabler. And I see recent workouts that indicate trainer Kelsey Danner has this one ready to go. I think Mohawk Trail is very live in this spot. And if we wind up getting 6-1, to me, that's worth a win bet. Mohawk Trail and Saffron Moon are my A's. I do have a B at a little bit of a price in the form of number 8, Watch This Birdie. This was a horse that made a middle move last time out. 2 starts ago at Saratoga, though, is the key race for me. That was a strange, strange race that was run on that day. There was no pace. She winds up last of 7 early on, comes flying, gets beat a neck by a horse that sat an absolutely perfect trip. I thought that effort was pretty impressive, and I think she's going to wind up getting pace to chase in this spot. The rider switch to Vinny Chemino, I could take or leave, but it is worth noting that back in late 2023, he rode this horse a couple of times, had 2 wins and a second. I do think this one is going to get some pace to run at, and I do think she's shown enough ability to be a factor to where if my single gets home, this one wins, and I don't have her, I'm going to be ill. And when you have a horse like that, and it's not prohibitive to throw the horse in, you throw the horse in. I'm 3, 4, and 8 to finish things off in race number 8. I think we both agree Saffron Moon has a big chance. The layoff, though, a little bit of a concern, and you're not going to get any sort of a price on that one. 3-1 on the morning line. I'll take the under on that.
All right. So, Andrew, your ticket on the screen for those watching on YouTube, you have the 1, 3, 6, 9 with the 7, with the 3, 4, 8. That's a nice $36 play.
Yep, and I will have a healthy win bet on Finster as well. That's my best bet of the sequence, one of my better bets of the Thursday card. Like that one quite a bit, and I'm trying to extract some value out of my strong opinions.
Yeah, get ready for this one.
That's a lot of text.
That is a lot of text. So my ticket on the screen for those of you watching on YouTube. And once again, I got B's and C's and all kinds of letters in here. So, I'll be playing this. I'll be playing this a couple different ways. But I have 1, 3, 7, 11 in leg one, 1, 3, 4, 7 in leg two, and I got 4 and 11 in leg three. Honestly, gun to my head right now, if you wanted to chop this down, I would obviously toss the three out in leg two. And I would probably maybe just go 4, 7 in that second leg. That brings you down to $48, which I think is a little bit more manageable if you're looking for that. But if you want to be even more cost conscious, you could play, I think, the first consensus ticket that we've had. I'm going to go ahead and clap us there,
As
which
you
is
should.
1, 3 in leg one, 7 in leg two, and 4 in leg three. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Andrew, I don't hate that single of the seven. I think you're going to get, you're not going to be singling the favorite. You're probably going to get the second or third choice in that race. Obviously, he's like the third or fourth choice by the morning line, but I could see that horse taking a little bit of steam. And but yeah, I think you have a nice skinny ticket here. And maybe honestly, I don't hate the 1, 3 with the seven with our other horses. What would that be? 3, 4. Was that 3, 4, 8, 11? So that's
Sounds right. Yeah. And if
yeah,
you do that, let's see, that's 8 bets times three. That'd be $24.
yeah.
That wouldn't be a horrible ticket.
So yeah, lots of ways. We gave you guys a couple different opinions, couple different ways we're looking at it. But Andrew, what else you got going on this week, man?
Hopefully, it's a quieter week than last week
Hmm.
was. Now, lots of stuff going on with the day job. In addition to Winners and Whiners, I'm starting to do some more work on a site called StatSalt. A lot of data-driven stuff for sports predictions that I think a lot of people will appreciate. You can also find my stuff on the Winners and Whiners YouTube channel. If you're listening to this prior to Wednesday night, I've got a free play out there for a Conference USA game between Sam Houston and Western Kentucky. I'm actually looking forward to that game. I think that one's going to be a fun track meet. But lots going on horse racing wise and sports wise. Again, Saturday is opening day for Golden State Racing over at Pleasanton. Excited about that. Looking forward to being there, seeing some familiar faces. If you're looking for a close to support, that's a worthy one.
Awesome. And yeah, you'll be able to check us out live Thursday night. We'll probably be looking at Keeneland once again, so check us out there. I believe we're going to be doing a little bit later, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. So just a half hour later, because someone's in Mountain Time now and has to get home from work.
Hey,
But
Mountain Time is a very good time zone, and I don't know where he wound up, but if he's got to go through Morrison, those speed traps are no joke.
So yeah, but yeah, we'll be doing stuff a little bit later there. Obviously, you got to be shot tinning me. Will be coming out later this week. And yeah, we'll have an idea of what our Breeders' Cup situation is going to look like for content. Andrew, we might be pulling you in on some stuff, but we'll stay tuned on that. We'll figure that out over the next couple of days and week, and yeah, we'll have a schedule out for you guys. But I think that's going to do it for us. Obviously, check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter. Andrew is at Andrew Champagne on Twitter. Winnersandwhiners.com. He has some other stat site he mentioned earlier. I don't remember already. I'm at Cherry Drank. Let's make some money this week, guys.